appreciate you guys waiting around. Apologize for being a few minutes late. We're going to go ahead and get this thing started. Just want to talk about a few things. Let me grab it. We're going to go over today. I have been absent for a little while. I did do from leatherworking, I did a gardening video. I'm going to bring some of that stuff in, some woodworking in. But please, I'm still going to do a lot of leatherworking videos. So I have different interests, and I hope that you guys have different interests as well. So I'm going to keep making those videos for you. Today we're going to go over some live Q&A. I'm going to let you guys ask questions, and also the questions that were on the Stitching Pony video. And in those questions, I'm going to be answering how did I get into leather crafting, and what's the best reaction, the story about the best reaction I ever got from a gift that I gave someone, and how I came up with my brand and logo, how my recording is set up to do everything. I'm going to answer some of the other questions you asked me, and I'm going to pick my favorite question. My favorite question is going to get the same exact, the person that asked that favorite question is going to get the same exact Stitching Pony that I ended up picking up. And as long as you guys live in the contiguous 48 states, there'll be no shipping with it. If you are outside of the 48, the continental United States, or if you're from another country, I'm still going to give it to you, but you're just going to have to pay the difference in shipping for me. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay. So first, do you guys have any questions for me while you're here? I'm going to pull it up on YouTube right now on the chat. We're going to see what everyone has to say. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring this around. I thought I'd be able to do it from back there. But I am going to bring my modified laptop table right here. And we're going to answer some of those questions. Let's see what we got. Everyone give a shout out if you're here. I'd appreciate hearing from you. That didn't go as well as planned, but that's okay. It's still good to go. You guys give me a shout out, please. Home. Stacks. Let's pull this up again. Available offline. That's what the problem is. Let's get that thing connected up. Totally slipped my mind to connect the laptop. Appreciate everyone's patience while we do this. Connections. Okay. And let's get this bad boy going. Connected, secured. Perfect. Let's get going. Okay, while that's loading up, I'm going to grab my first question. We're going to go over that real quick. Oh, there we go. Your channel. All right, cool. All right, so Ann Jay, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Hello to you, Donald Gibbs. Good evening. I appreciate it, Donald Gibbs. You know, I do believe the gentleman's name was Donald Gibbs. He was in Revenge of the Nerds. He was the one that played the big football jock ogre. Douglas Gibb, I think that was his name. So I don't know if you guys are of any relation, but he was always a character that I enjoyed on those movies. And then Ann J, Warsaw, Missouri, and Jart. Hi to you, Jart, and Ann J, Warsaw, Missouri. I think we talked before. You're not far from Springfield Leather, so appreciate all you guys tuning in. I'm gonna get started, and okay. So these are the questions that I liked, and let's start with the first one. Do you think that with a little modification, that the last stitching pony that you did would be better? Adding maybe like a spring to help to keep the jaws from flopping open, or switching to a toggle. And the person that said this was Mad Dog Noel 8378. They really liked the option that pivoted. I wasn't big on the pivoting of the stitching pony. I mean, that was okay. That idea is good, but still, that one-handed, it took two hands to tighten everything up. It felt like, I guess you could kind of get used to it. And I guess you could kind of get used to it. There's a strong possibility of that. But one more. Okay. You could kind of get used to it, but I don't think that for me, having the fast clamp on that stitching pony was the all of them had it except for the last one, and having that toggle clamp was a great thing. I really thought that was what sold me on it. But if you wanted to do a spring or something like that to temporarily hold it, you could probably choose the fourth one. I just really like the third one. All right, so let's get to our next question. I'm already spending 20 hours designing this thing in my head. Now I'm just going to wait for your giveaway. That's awesome. I appreciate it. This is Tom the Move, by the way. I appreciate that. Have you got any tips for skiving? I get too high on one side and they take too much off of that until eventually I just chop off the whole piece. You know, skiving, I used to have a lot of issues with skiving, and in your head, the tendency is, or in your head, when you think it out, you think if I just scrape down, draw the skiver down, I'll be able to thin out that leather. And that's actually where you run into a lot more problems. You are so much better off, and I saw this in another YouTube video and I tried it, and it is an amazing thing to do. You just, instead of drawing it straight down, you want to draw it at an angle. So if you draw it at an angle, draw the tool at an angle while you're skiving, and just take many cuts, right? And just take a little bit away at a time. That's where you're going to see your biggest success with skiving. Don't go straight down. Go at an angle. You'll do a lot better. All right. Thanks for the reviews. This is from Log Hill Enterprises, 4585. Thanks for the reviews. My question is, what's the best reaction you got from something that you made someone? Well, when my nephew was 2 years old, my background is a woodworker. When my nephew was 2 years old, I made him a Noah's Ark. And actually, I have one of the little pigs that I've done before for the Noah's Ark. And can you guys see that right there? Had 8 different sets, 8 different pairs of animals. I think it was a cow, a pig, a horse, a lion, an elephant, and it wasn't a giraffe. I'm trying to think. There were some other animals, and it was a wooden ark and the wooden toys. And he thought that was the coolest gift he got back then. He was 2 years old then. Now he's in his teens, and he'll be learning how to drive soon. But that was his absolute favorite toy that Christmas, and that just really, it was genuine. He really liked it. He was playing with it. I could tell he was having fun. So that was probably the best reaction I've ever got, because when it's a 2-year-old, I mean, it's absolute honesty. So for me, that was the best reaction I've ever got from a gift that I've given. All right. This is from Pebble and Leo. Pebble and Leo. Thank you. So I love your channel over any other leather worker I've come across on here and on YouTube. And here's my question. How do you mold leather? It's something I've wanted to get into. Well, first of all, Pebble and Leo, I really appreciate the fact that you guys are, that you guys think I'm the best. I don't think I'm the best, but I'm humbly accept that from you, and I thank you very much. The biggest thing to do when you want a wet mold leather, that's what it was, right? Yeah, something they wouldn't get into. When you soak the leather really good, you wrap whatever it is that you want with saran wrap if the waters can damage it, and then you take some clamps and you clamp that leather really tight around that object and let it dry. Give it a couple days, let it dry completely, and you'll end up with the wet mold. Now, you're gonna have to want to wait for it to dry before you glue it and stitch it and do all that. But man, you get a nice snug fit. I have done this before. I haven't done it a lot, but it is pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm gonna see what you guys are saying out there. Angie, yep, that's me. And then no relation, Don Gibbs, no relation to Douglas Gibbs. I think it was the gentleman's name. Ogre, you know, the big guy. Nerds! Ogre, he was a funny guy. Okay. So, it's Brian Moreland. Hello, I made it. Did I make it in time? Brian, you made it in time. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. NJ, Brian Moreland, yes. Kicksbot, hey Stacksman, what kicks you wearing right now? Right now, what kicks am I wearing? That's cool. That's a cool question. I call them my old man shoes, and I called them that the other day. And I'm not gonna pull my whole foot up here, but I'll take my shoe off and show you guys. They you don't have to tie them up. They just kind of slip on, but they are Skechers, and that's what I wear sometimes. Sometimes I wear I do have some motorcycle, like they're made by Wolverine, these boots, so they look more like a hiking boot. But I do have some motorcycle boots that I wear sometimes because they have a hard toe. Depends on what I'm doing in the shop. If I need something that I'm going to need a hard toe, then that's definitely something that I like to wear in the shop. But right now, it's just the Skechers, man. I appreciate you asking that. Okay. Casey Roberts, happy to be here. Happy you're here, Casey, as well. By the way, Kicksbot, that was a very good question. Kickspot, that was a very, very good question. Thank you for asking. Let's see. I'm also wearing Skechers. That's what I'm talking about. Brian Moreland, thank you very much. That's awesome. That's what I like to hear. All right. So I have another question from 062809, the original handle there, original YouTube handle. Thanks when I did the video. Being a woodworker first and a leather worker second, he built his own. Okay, they built their own, custom designed for me and my work area, which is a great thing. That's the nice thing about building it. I don't really think you save a whole lot of time, but you can custom design it for any look or any specific feature that you want, which is awesome. So their question was, what one size edge beveler do you suggest? And I was like, I appreciate the input on the Stitching Pony. For me, when it comes to edge bevelers, I think that a number 2 beveler is my go-to for most of what I do. Now, it's going to depend on the thickness of your leather. Typically, that's the thickness that I use. And I don't remember the thickness off of my head. It'd be 8 ounce, 9 ounce, 10 ounce, somewhere in that ballpark. It's most of what I do. Now you start getting into your thicker leathers, you're going to want a number 3 beveler. So thicker leathers for that, for a number 3 beveler for thicker leathers. So very nice. Okay, this is the Penguin Gentleman. Penguin Gentleman, I hope you're out there. You're always a favorite of mine. You ask really good questions. What's the one leatherworking project that you always dreamed of completing that you haven't got a chance to work yet? Well, I appreciate you asking. I think that it's a motorcycle seat. In addition to spending time in my shop, I like to get out and ride on 2 wheels. Customization with leather and so many other different things is really important with motorcycles. I would love to hand tool a motorcycle seat. I'd love to find the time. I don't know if I'd make a video of it. It would be cool to have a video of it, but it's not one of those things that I think a lot of people are searching for, but you never know. So I might one day decide to finally sit down and do it and make a video of it. And and I hope you guys are there to see it. It would be great. So Penguin Gentleman, thank you very much. Next question is Tiger on a Bike, another motorcycle question. Okay, love your videos. My question is regarding outdoor leather. I'm making leather covers and footrest covers for my motorcycle. What do you recommend for both protecting and or rejuvenating outdoor motorcycle leathers? So it's a tough question because honestly, I've never heard, and I kind of asked, I said, well, what exactly are you doing? I've never heard of, let me find it again, um, footrest covers, but I'm very intrigued by it. I want to see it. Maybe it's just something that I haven't experienced. I've only been in leather working for, I've only been in motorcycles for maybe 6 years. So before that, had some other hobbies, and once I discovered motorcycling, wow, it's great. It's a great, relaxing hobby. Um, I think what I use on my saddlebags and on my vest and even on my gloves, I use something called, and let me see if I have it here. Yep. What I use, what I use on all my motorcycle leathers, including the bags and everything, is Kelly Shoe Cream. Kelly Shoe Cream right here. I will leave a link in the description once this video is completed. I don't have it in there now, but I'll leave a link to it. This stuff is great. It's great. It's really great on shoes. You can use it on dress shoes. You can use it on boots. It's going to condition it. It's going to add a little color to it because it is black. Whoop. See that solid black inside. So it's kind of like polish, but it doesn't have the alcohol in it. It has like, I believe the one I used to use had lanolin, and this one was the one that was recommended to replace it by a cobbler. So this stuff is great. It will soften it. It will condition it. It will keep it looking rich in color. It's not going to give it that super high polish, but I'm not one that likes the super high polish like the mirror polish. I'd rather just have nice, dark, smooth, even texture on it. So this is, I believe it's Kelly's Shoe Cream. If it's not Kelly's, I'll find out. No, this is, I think I looked at Kelly's Shoe Cream. This is Money's Worth Best Quality, and this is from Germany. So Money's Worth. I'll leave a link in the description later on, so if you're rewatching this video, it will be down there for you. But this is great, great stuff. Okay. If you're trying to really rejuvenate dried out leather, you're going to want to start with something like neat's foot oil, or something that's going to get in there and condition it really well. If it's dried and cracking, you might have to do a little repairs. You might be able to go with it. It's going to look kind of rough, but I would use the neat's foot oil. I would use this stuff on top of that. The shoe cream, that's what I call it. I just call it colored shoe cream. You want to use that on top of it. But if you're religious at putting it on there and buffing it off, just put it on there. If it's kind of dried out, leave it on there for a while, and you can always buff it off the next day. If you're just trying to get some color on it and just regular conditioning, you put it on, maybe like hour later, buff it off. But it's really, really good stuff. I have a pair of motorcycle boots that I need to send to the cobbler to get repaired. I do leather work, but when it comes to the comfort of my feet, I will not try to do it yourself. I've done that before, and it was totally not worth it. Blisters and pain walking around is not worth the $10-$20 that I'm going to save by not going to a cobbler. So definitely do that. So let's see. Okay. Oh, and for weatherproofing, if you're really trying to weatherproof it, I keep my motorcycle in the shop. If you're weatherproofing leather that's going to be outdoors like that, Harley, I work at a Harley dealer, and they do make a product that you could put on there that's going to seal it. It has petroleum in it, so it will seal it. I just like doing what I do, and I try to keep my motorcycle out of the rain as much as possible. But if it gets wet, The shoe cream is going to protect it some. It is going to keep a lot of those pores sealed, holding in a lot of that moisture that's in the leather. Okay. Now, next one. I'm curious as to what you think are the best options for pricking iron chisels. Now, pricking iron chisels, so there's really two different types of pricking iron chisels. You have this kind, which is actually a chisel. I don't know if you guys can see the edge on that, but yeah, there you go. You can see the edge on the tips. That's going to create little dashes, little slots in your leather, okay? The other kind, I don't know if you guys can see that. That is going to punch holes in your leather. So when you're punching holes in your leather, and that's what I did for the stitching pony video, it's going to be easier to send a needle through, but something like this is going to look a lot tighter. Now, do not have a lot of experience with this. I've just bought middle of the road, low end stuff for this, and really I haven't noticed a big difference between the two of those. I've continued to use it, and I've decided that I might step up my game at some point, and I contacted my friend over at his name begins with a J, Jacob, I think, at Leathercraft Nation. He's also a YouTuber. He talks about the pricking irons that he uses. He says they are top notch. Now they're going to cost a pretty penny. I want to buy them and try them out and do an honest review of them and tell you whether or not I think they're worth the money or if I'm just better off using these. So let's find out. I plan on doing a video about it. Let me actually look right now and see what the name of those pricking irons are. Let's see. Oh. Jacob, if you're watching, you're probably not, but if you're watching, you can give me a shout out right here and tell me what it is. Let's look at this. Where's Leathercraft Nation? Oh, I don't see his messaging. Yeah, there we go. So he recommends Cinnabrox pricking irons. Does anyone that's watching this right now, do they have any experience using the Cinnabrox? I've looked them up. They're not cheap, but they do look like they're of higher quality. They also make a punch one where it will punch the holes, and one that's a chisel that will cut it. I believe it cuts it on the edge like this, like pow, 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 just like that. So I'm going to actually get to some of what you guys are asking here and look at some of the comments, and we're going to go with that. If you're just joining us, man, we got a lot of stuff we're covering today. Let me go back to the old itinerary. We're gonna have a story about how I got into leather crafting, and how I came up with my brand and my logo, and then my entire setup, how I shoot my videos. I'm gonna answer the questions that you guys were asking on the Stitching Pony video, and I'm gonna pick my favorite question out of all those questions, and that person is gonna win the Stitching Pony that I picked out. So let's see what we got here. Right, hello, I made it. Did I make it in time? All right. Hey, Stacks, what kicks you? No. Kicksbot had a nice pair of Skechers boots when I was about 15. They last a while. I just grew out of mine. Brian Moreland, I don't have a motorcycle, but I will watch your video doing it. Oh, talking about the seat. Yeah, I think it would be something cool. I want to find what kind of design that I want to put on the seat. It's probably going to be a moderately, simple to moderate design on the seat itself. I'm not super, let's say, experienced with tooling, but this would be a nice challenge for me to do something pretty cool there. Stitch Dog Leather Company. I love my Cinnabrox. I think that somebody wanting to buy a set should really think about it, is the kind of work they're planning on doing. That's a very good point. You know, if you're stitching wallets versus if you're stitching a saddle together versus if you're, it all depends. You would definitely want to take a look, and before you do that, maybe assess like what a good general one is. I might contact Cinderbrooks and ask them and see what they think. And Jay, Buckle Guy and Courtier Leather work together to create a set of pricking irons. I might have to check that out. Buckle Guy and Courtier Leather are some pretty heavy hitters in the leather working world, especially when it comes to making some custom stuff. So I might double check and take a look at that. And Don Gibbs, I have both the diamond shape and the round hole pricking irons. I prefer the look of the diamond shaped ones. They make the stitching look better. I have to agree with that. The diamond shaped ones set at an angle like pow 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 pow, and then you just put your stitches in between. It pulls it when you pull it nice and snug on that. It does have a very nice finished look. Okay, Larry Cumbia. I have found a thing called Zendigal on YouTube for projects that you would like to make patterns for. The possibilities are endless. I'm gonna have to check it out. Zenical, the Zenical, the tentacle. We're gonna see. That's what it sounds like. Tentacle, Zenical. That's how I remember these things. I associate them with craziness, crazy ideas that come into my head. Okay, Stitch Dog, Leather Company. I appreciate that, Larry. Thank you very much. You always come in clutch, my friend. Stitch Dog. They have different types of irons and punches. It's really what type of work you can do. Set that's most expensive. And Donald has both the diamond and the round hole. I prefer. Okay. Eric L. All I am seeing is the loading circle. Is anyone else seeing the feed? Guys, are you seeing the feed or are you still seeing the loading circle? I want to make sure that the video isn't screwed up for me. I could see it on mine. So it looks like it's coming okay, but you guys let us know. Stitch Dog, quarter chisels are a great mid-tier set. They can be used in lots of different types of projects due to their tooth profile. You know, I might check that out. Maybe I'll get the Cinderbrooks and the quarter chisels, and we'll find out which ones we like better. And J, Eric L. Yes, thanks, Ian. Okay. Oh, awesome, Eric. I'm glad you're here, man. Thanks for sticking it out. I know sometimes technology can be frustrating, but I really appreciate you coming on today. Appreciate you helping out, Ann. Let's see. I see the feed. Seeing you perfectly. Casey Roberts, how you doing? I haven't said hi to you yet. I appreciate everyone that's here. Give me a little bit. We're going to answer some more questions that were from the Stitching Pony video. How many of you use a Stitching Pony? This was my first time using one. I really liked it. It holds it together. I could stitch it a lot faster. But how many of you guys actually use one? How many of you didn't even hear of a Stitching Pony until I made the video? Because when I first started Leathercraft, I didn't have any idea what a Stitching Pony is until I saw a few that were out there and saw what it was used for, and I always wanted to get around to making one. Well, instead of making one, I decided just to buy one, review 4 different ones, and find out which one was the best. So let's see. Okay. All right. Thank you for the information. I'm new to leatherworking and trying to build my tool supplies. How did you get into leatherworking? This was asked by Michael Weems, 2873. Michael Weems. I really like to stitch that Stitching Pony. Let's see. I'll tell you how I got into leatherworking. Okay. I bought a belt. I was like in my early 20s. I went to the leather store, Sea Dream Leather or something in the mall, and I bought a really nice belt. And I wanted a high quality belt that was going to last me a while. So I got a real leather belt. There's belts, and we've talked about it. They call them genuine. It's genuine leather. I've had those. They crack. They fall apart. They're Walmart belts is what I call them. But you can even get those at the department stores. But a real leather belt, I got this real leather belt, and I had it for, I don't know, a while, maybe like 15 years. And was on vacation with my sister and my nephew. And we went to this amusement park from back when we were kids. It was up in Pittsburgh. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. It was called Kennywood. And it had this ride, I forget what it's called, but it's got this little raft and 6 people sit around in it. And you go through these rapids and you hit rocks and splash. And normally at the end, there's always this big waterfall that comes down. You're going to get wet riding this ride. I'm sure you guys have heard of this ride before, but you're going to get soaked riding it. And that's the reason no one else wanted to go on it but my nephew. And I was like, you know what? I'll go on it with him. So we went on it together. I got soaked. He got soaked. My belt, I had the belt that I had for like 15 years. And this belt held up well until it got soaked that day. And then I hung it up in the bathroom to dry. We were staying at my uncle's house. And the next morning I got up, I went to go put it on. And then I put it through the buckle and I pulled it. And as I pulled it, bam, the leather broke. It had dried out and made the leather so brittle that it broke the belt. So I decided I was going to fix this belt, and I ended up fixing this belt, and that's exactly how I got started in leatherwork. That was my project numero uno. My intro into leathercraft was fixing that belt. I started making other belts, started making keychains, started making wallets, made some knife sheaths, some different things like that. But that is exactly how I got started in leathercraft. So appreciate you asking that. What was your name? Michael Weems. I really appreciate that. Thanks for asking, Michael Weems. All right. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got some activity in the chats. Let's see what's going on. Okay. For those of you just joining us, I asked people about stitching ponies. Do they use stitching ponies? Did you not even hear of stitching pony until this? Because I know for a leather worker, when I was just toying around with it as a hobby, I didn't hear about a stitching pony until I started to get a little bit more involved in it. So this is what people are asking. Let's see. Okay. Anjay. Eric, no. Let's see. Jart says, I like to use them. If I don't, my back starts to hurt from hunching over. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to stand up and do it and have it kind of closer to your eye level. That's where that fourth stitching pony gets a lot higher. It might help out unless you have short arms. I'm 6'4", so it really doesn't bother me that much. Let's see what we got here. Anjay uses a sewing machine. I was actually looking at sewing machines there. I don't know if you guys have ever used any of the old Singer sewing machines from like the first half of the 20th century. That's kind of what I've been toying around with, that idea. Something with a motor on it. But I've heard that those are heavy duty enough to stitch leather. Just need to change the I don't know, the little foot that's on top of it that holds it down, and the stitching needle. And I heard you can use those for leather. Casey Roberts, I have a very cheap stitching pony. It works okay. It does help make stitching a bit easier. So even one that's like kind of it sounds like it does help you out. I appreciate you chiming on that, Casey. Donald, I have a small stitching pony. I want to make a larger one. That is a good call. You can have ones that have a wider mouth, so you can stitch longer stitch lines. Let me see. Angie, I love Kennywood. I used to live on Mount Washington. You had a wonderful view, Angie. That is a really cool view. There's people that I heard that's the highest rent in all of Pittsburgh. I'm not sure. I've never lived there as an adult, but I grew up there as a kid, and I moved away when I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. So, Mr. Old Clunker, thanks for coming back, my friend. I have an antique pony that is about 100 years old. Sweet. You sit at the pony and use your foot to control the locking device. 100% hands-free. That is a really cool option. That would be a cool video to make something like that. Thank you very much. The foot pedal locks and ratchets. Sweet. Thanks for telling me about that. If you could do this, I don't know if you're a member of any other social media like Facebook or Instagram, but if you're comfortable doing this, and only if you're comfortable, if you could post a picture of it and tag me at bigstackshop.com, I'd love to see a picture of it. And if you don't want to give away your identity, we're good, man. We're cool there too. But I appreciate you telling me that is something that's pretty cool. Okay, next question. This is from one German Zapata. Besides Tandy and Weaver Leather, do you have any other leather or leather goods suppliers that you like to use in the U.S.? Maybe this can be a whole video. It absolutely can be a whole video. I need to do a video about where to get leather. I have lots of leather sitting around. I make some stuff. I'm not a huge maker of leather stuff all the time. In fact, I've been quite busy lately. I'll tell you guys about that in a little bit. But yeah, you can go to Springfield Leather. There's some other. You can go to Horween and Craig, Wicked and Craig or Horween, um, and go to any of the tanneries. They'll sell it to you. There are U.S. tanneries. Now someone, it might have been Anjay. Someone told me that Springfield Leather, you can sign up as a wholesaler, as a wholesale supplier, and it's like, I don't know, $30 a year, but you get a super deep discount on the leather. So if you're buying a lot of leather, or you have a lot of leather to buy for a project, that sounds like that's a great option. Uh, let's see. A lot of people hit up Buckle Guy. That's another one I mentioned in my answer. So that's pretty cool. And then Donnie Johns. Donnie Johns asked me, I've been doing leathercraft for years. How long did you wait until you started to sell your product? Donnie Johns, uh, as soon as I mastered my first project, like mastered it, and I felt that I was consistent with it. You need to be consistent. It needs to look good, and you need to be able to complete it within a reasonable amount of time if you're going to make money on it. So once you've done those three things and you feel you can pump them out like a machine, then that's the time you start selling it. For me, I screwed around with leather. I did the belts. I did a belt. I did belts for family. I did keychains for family. Started doing more keychains. And once I felt that I was comfortable making those keychains, then that's the product that I did first start selling. I have sold some belts as well early on. So those were probably my two big ones that I started out with. Let's see what's happening in the live chat. All right, let's see what we got. Stitch Dog Leather Company. Thanks for chiming in again. Buckle Guy has really been stepping up their game. I used to be a Tandy faithful just because they've got good location in case I need something fast. Always good thing. Physical location helps out. Weaver is also a super consistent and is also super consistent, and I like that they allow no question returns. If you're not happy with how your with a hide, so if you're not happy with the hide that you order from Weaver, no question returns. That's a great thing as well. I really appreciate you typing in Stitch Dog or chiming in Stitch Dog. Um, we're here. I call us the Big Stacks family. I'm simply here to bring everyone together. And yeah, I'll show you guys some things. I'm by no means am the best leather worker ever, not even close to being a really master leather crafter. But my job is to kind of show you what I know, test out some products, answer a few questions. I'll do everything I can for you. My real job in doing all those things is to get you off your couch and into your shop. I personally used to sit and watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I told myself, man, I'm watching people working in their shop. What I need to get back in my shop, and that's basically what I started doing, and that's why I make these videos. So I want you guys to get out off your couch, not right this second. I mean, you could finish the video or take it with you on your phone, but I want you to think about that. Getting off my couch, getting in the shop, making something, having fun. That's what it's all about. I want each and every one of you to do that. And if you've never made something, don't be scared to get started. Just try something. I have some simple designs out there. Go back and watch some of my videos where I have I make projects. I try to make simple projects that other people can replicate. All right. Now, this one is from Toy Sanford. Toy Sanford asks, new to the craft and have enjoyed the review videos on items I will need eventually if I continue. Okay, awesome, man. Have you done any reviews on leather? What leather is better for certain items and what you can buy online versus at some of the craft and big box stores? I've seen leather as high as several $100s for just a couple of square feet and as cheap as $60 for half a cow. Okay. Um, I you could try different types of leathers and you can go anything from only with a coupon. I only do this with a coupon. The Hobby Lobby leather, it's pretty decent. The veg tan leather is pretty decent leather. Some of the other stuff's you know what I mean. But you can make some really nice stuff with the veg tan, and Normally there's a Hobby Lobby near you. Now I don't have a Tandy near me, but there are Tandy Leathers, and they got people that if you walk in there and ask them questions, I've heard that, and those guys can help you out. Guys and gals can help you out with anything that you wanted to do there. They can set you on the right path. Um, for me, I guess it's not so much as I don't think it's as much as the how much the leather costs, or um, you want to decide if you want to do oil tan or veg tan. Veg tan, you're going to have to dye, you're going to have to stain, or I use antiquing, or you could just use neatsfoot oil that will darken it. So you don't have to do as much of that stuff with uh, chrome tan. I said oil tan. I guess oil tan is the type of chrome tan, is what my understanding is. But if you want to go one of those routes, you don't have to worry about dyeing it or finishing it any type of way, other than you probably want to give it a good conditioning when you're done doing whatever you're doing. But I think more it's about finding the proper weight of the leather. So for thinner projects, like if you're making wallets with a lot of pockets in it, or if you're making something um, like that, I'm trying to think of some other examples. I can't think of any off the top of my head. You're going to want to pay real close attention to the thickness. You want like a 2 or 3 ounce, and then if you get up more around an 8 ounce, you still make some wallets with that. That's what I used to make my. I don't think I have it on me. Yep, my minimalist wallet. That's a big hit. That's but I think I use like an 8 ounce for that, maybe a 7 or 8 ounce. Okay, and that's when I was talking earlier about the number two Skyver. That's what I use a lot of that on. That's probably the ideal one. Um, you want to start. You want to make thicker stuff like belts, or like heavy duty things like holsters maybe, or something like that. You probably want to go with a thicker leather. So really pay attention, do your research, and find out what thickness of leather you should purchase for the specific projects that you want to make. Okay. All right, let's see what we got. Angie, when it comes to leather, it depends on the tanner. Who's the importer? What was he used in the tanning process and such? Just had a class on this. That's awesome. Where did you take this class? That's pretty cool. I'd love to take a class like that. All right, well, she's answering that. I'm going to go on to my next question. Let's see what we got. Oh, and Jay at Tandy Leather. I would really like to take some of these classes. I don't have a Tandy anywhere near me. The closest Tandy was 2 hours away, and they up and moved out when the COVID apocalypse happened. The they decided they were going to close, and that was it. So it's very unfortunate. Um, all right, here's a question: is the stitch, and this is from Oregon Blades. This question just from Oregon Blades. Is the stitch produced by a speedy stitcher as good as a hand stitch? I'm an amateur knife maker, and I hand sew the sheath for each knife. And when I started out, I picked up a speedy stitcher. It makes a weird stitch that does not pull correctly. It looks awful. Luckily, with the welt and the other 2 layers, there's plenty of room to hide the stitch. Okay, here's my thoughts on the speedy stitcher and on the sewing machine and on hand stitching. If you can hand stitch, first of all, you should learn hand stitch. There's no question about that. You should learn how to hand stitch, and you should learn how to hand stitch well. Aside from cutting with a knife, stitching is probably the one thing that is going to set your work apart. If you have a nice straight stitch line, nice smooth stitches, it's not like bouncing all over the place, like, you do a stitch, it should be bam, 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 bam. If it's looking like it's jumping around and it's kind of a zigzag, you really need to work on your stitching. Okay, so what I would suggest is learn how to hand stitch. Now, speedy stitchers, that's what it is. It's a speedy stitcher. I haven't used them a whole lot. I really don't care for them that much, and I would rather go sewing machine and get a sewing machine, or I would rather continue to hand stitch, because the sewing machine is nice. It gets you through what you're doing real fast. Hand stitching makes a nice, even, tight stitch. It locks it all together, so if the thread starts to become unraveled, then it's not going to all come apart. That thread might come apart. Like something like a saddle stitch is great. Now, sewing machine isn't going to do that either. There's a chance that it will unravel, but it gets your stuff done a lot faster. And if something's not going to see a lot of abuse, I mean, some leather stuff is designed to take abuse. Definitely want to hand stitch that. Sewing machine on something that's going to take a little, like, like a handbag for a lady, or a purse or something like that. Maybe, if you're doing a tool roll or something like that, as long as you're not jamming stuff in there, keep it, I guess, around just to hold stuff. Something like that. You could probably get away with a speedy stitcher or using a machine. But if you're making something like a knife sheath that you're going to keep on your side, right, or other types of sheaths, gun sheath, or what sheath, or whatever you want to make, or if you want to make something a belt, these are all things that are going to take a little bit of use. A tool pouch, which is a great thing to have. These things are going to take some abuse, and you definitely want to hand stitch these, because if the stitch starts coming apart and it is machine stitched or speedy stitcher, it's going to start to unravel and come apart. Even if you have it glued, I mean, it's good that you have it glued, but there's still a chance that everything's going to come unraveled. Hand stitching is definitely a way to go, and that's the reason it's called saddle stitching. Saddles are going to take a lot of abuse, so they have this stitching that they did, this method that they used, that keeps everything nice and tight, and if some of the threads get damaged, it's not going to unravel the whole thing. All right. This is from Skull Valley Leatherworks. Skull Valley Leatherworks asked me, I just found your short, I just found you due to a short. Great channel. If you could only have one edger, which one would it be? Again, man, the edgers. Number 2 is probably my favorite edger for what I do. That 8 ounce that I tend to stick with, that's probably the best. Actually, before, I think I said 8 through 10. I probably do more 7, 8 ounce than anything else. Number 2 is best for me. You start getting into those higher numbers, like when I'm making belts, I do tend to use a bigger beveler for that. I use a number 3. I use a number 3 for belts, especially on the tip. So if you have, like, the tip of the belt comes together at a point, and before I burnish that tip, I will use a heavy duty beveler on that, and I think it just gives it a nice finished, clean look on it. So if you guys are just joining us, let me grab the itinerary. If you guys are just joining us, we're going to talk about how I came up with my brand and my logo. We're going to answer your questions from the stitching video. We're going to talk a little bit about my setup. There's a question about how I did my setup, from everything from the camera to the lighting, and I kind of answered some of that. I'd like to elaborate a little bit more. And then I'm going to pick my favorite question, and that person is going to get the 3rd stitching pony in my video, the one that I chose, that I liked a lot. Okay, so all right. So appreciate you coming out if you are just joining us. I'm going to get on to the next question. This is, okay, what are the skills that someone should develop to move from beginner to intermediate and as a leather crafter? And what about intermediate to advanced? How might someone perfect those skills? Well, first let's talk about what skills I think are probably, and I mentioned it earlier in the video, probably your 2 most important skills with leather crafting, that's going to take you from beginner to intermediate, is going to be your cutting. So your cutting's your first one. You want the nice perpendicular cut. You don't want to be at an angle. Here, let's do it this way. You want a nice, I feel like Mr. Roboto. Okay, you want a nice perpendicular cut, which means keeping it as straight as possible up and down. If you start going at an angle, when you cut, you're going to notice that your product's going to, the edge of your product's going to look real sloppy. So that nice perpendicular, nice perpendicular cut like that's good. No angles, guys. And then the other thing is stitching. You got to learn some hand stitching. And when you do the hand stitching, you want to be like bam, 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 bam. Man, that stitch looks nice. And you probably aren't going to get that the very first time you do. If you do, you've probably done other stitching, or you're just really talented at doing that, or you're taking your time. But getting the zigzag stitches, all different ways, I don't really like that. You want a nice clean stitch, even if it looks like it's set at a little bit of an angle. It's got to be the same angle all the way through, or straight across, or however you end up doing it. But you definitely, those are the two things that will take you from a beginner leather crafter to an intermediate leather crafter. Now, beyond that, intermediate leather crafting, man, it's going to be the types of things that you're going to make. It's going to be I'm trying to think what else would take you. The tooling, being able to do that tooling, making something look really nice, making it pop well. I'm by no means a advanced leather crafter. I'm probably more of the intermediate, but that will definitely level up your game to the next level when you can do hand tooling. And I think that's a big thing right there. So I'm going to get to the questions really quick. And the only way to get better is to practice. Practice. Copy and practice. Practice and copy. If other people are doing something, try it out. Take a look at it. Pay attention to what they're doing. Study it. Study what they're doing, how they're holding their tool. The things that they, especially if it's a YouTube video, concentrate on the things that they say, especially if they say them twice. Then it is a very important thing to do. And this button keeps bothering me. I feel like a hobo with the neck coming apart. And there we go. But now, see, I think it's too high. It's too high. You guys ever have a shirt where the button's either too high or too low? That second button really makes or breaks the shirt. Bonus points if you know where that's from. The second button makes or breaks the shirt. Okay. Mr. Old Clunker, I had a hard time with all the leather and grades. Genuine leather, split leather, etc. Maybe you explain it to the viewers. Man, you know what? You don't even want to screw with genuine leather. Genuine leather is like, it's a lot of times it's bonded leather, which is kind of look like, you guys know what plywood is, right? So plywood's okay. Plywood's a bunch of plies of wood stacked up together. Pretty durable. Been around for a long time. A lot of people don't know that even a lot of fine furniture has been made with plywood. Even goes back to, man, a long time ago. Back before, probably about the time the Industrial Revolution was happening, they were starting to make plywood, even though they were thicker plies. So then there's also chipboard. You guys know what chipboard is? Chipboard is where they just take all this stuff and mash it all together and compress it and make a board out of it. And if it gets wet, it's going to swell on up. It's going to look like crap. It doesn't have the holding power. It's a bunch of bits just put in there, glued and mashed together. Well, that's what bonded leather is. It is a bunch of bits of leather thrown in there. It's got glue and other crap in it, and they mash it together, compress it. Might even heat it some to get it, I don't know, to let it dry. But I don't know if genuine and bonded are the same thing, but I know if they're exactly the same thing, but I know that they are very similar. Now, see, look, I feel like I don't know. I with this button, second button makes or breaks the shirt. I feel that I feel like too formal. I was a banker for like 17 years, and I feel like now I'm back to my banking days. So I'm gonna leave this button unbuttoned, and no offense, but if you don't like it, if it's offensive to you, if I'm showing too much of this, sorry. Stitch Dog. I love what you're saying. Genuine leather is genuinely not the best to go with. Yeah, I mean, you can make stuff out of that, out of it. Um, yeah, you know, it's okay. It's great. Certain projects it's okay with. Definitely not going to have the strength. Definitely not going to have the long-lasting durability if it gets used a lot. It's that belt you buy from Walmart, which has the splits in it when you wherever your hole is, and that you notice the splits and cracks in the leather. That's that genuine leather. Genuinely not a good idea. Um, Split leather is and a lot of leather is actually split leather that you can buy. They take a thicker hide, and if the hide's this thick, let's just say it's let's say this is um, you know, I don't know, 2 millimeters thick. It's 3 millimeters thick. They'll split it down the middle, and they'll have two 1.5 millimeter thick pieces, so that you can split leather, and that's kind of what split leather is. Um, Other than that, I try to avoid genuine. I don't even know if they I've never seen that something being called split leather, but I think it happens more often than we think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that is what split leather is. So let's see what else we got here. Okay. Larry Cumbia, my wife wants me to sell projects. I told her I'm 74 and retired. For me, leathercraft is a fun hobby. I don't want to be an obligation. Then it becomes a job. No thanks. Larry, man, you do you. You do whatever the heck it is you want to do. I'm sure this is the reason your wife is saying sell this stuff. I don't think that she's wanting that Mercedes Benz or that brand new $100,000 Winnebago or I don't even know if they make Eddie Bauer anymore. Let's say the Cadillac Escalade. I'm sure she would like all those things, but I don't think she wants you to sell them because of that. And I'm sure you realize that. A lot of people hear that and they say, well, my wife wants me to sell it. It's because she really likes your stuff. She thinks your stuff is really cool, and she thinks that people would be happy to buy your stuff. And that's always a compliment when someone says you should sell this. I'm with you. Once it becomes a job, it's like, I did the craft shows and the farmers markets and the art shows, and they were cool and all, and I might get back into them one day. But it did become more of a job, like the month or so leading up to some of those shows, because I only did a handful a year. Like the month, let's say 3-4 weeks before the show, I was in production mode, and I would come home from work and crank out a bunch of stuff, and come home and crank out a bunch of stuff, and then it did start to feel more like a job. But you know what? If your goal is to make money off of it, a lot of people want to do this stuff to make money. If your goal is to make money, you do have to treat it like a job, or you're not going to make. You're really not going to make that much money unless you think about how you can streamline it, how you can do it. If you just want to do it and have fun, Larry, I'm with you, man. Sit back and enjoy it, and you make whatever you want. You can have a coffee while you're making something. You can have your lunch. You can go have your lunch, relax, watch a little TV, go back to it. That's definitely a good thing. Rhymes with orange. What rhymes with orange? I'm not sure, but that's a great name. Rhymes with orange. I made a few items so far. My struggle is coming up with what else to make. Rhymes with orange. I'm going to have a solution here for you pretty soon. If you sign up for my newsletter, and I'll put a link later on in the thing, but if you go to any of my videos, any of my long form videos, there's always a link to sign up for my newsletter pretty much. Sign up for my newsletter. I send free leathercraft templates out to everyone. So that is definitely a way to get some more ideas on things that you can do. Leathercraft templates, yeah. Patterns is for tooling. Templates is for cutting. So you get my free leathercraft templates, and then I've have a bunch that I've made that I'm gonna start selling, and they're probably gonna be like something cheap, like $2 a piece, or 3 for $5 or something like that. So keep an eye out for that as well. It rhymes with orange. Awesome, thanks, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming out. If this is your first, you know what? Everyone that's out there, do me a favor. If this is your first time coming out to Big Stacks, give me a shout. Give me a woohoo right there. Say something hi or something in the chat, and I'd like to see it. I really appreciate everyone that has come out. I have a few more questions I'm going to go over, and we're going to get to my favorite here in a minute. All right. Here's a good one. Here's the story. This is a story about how I got my logo, my brand. So, can you tell how to come up with a maker's mark? So not to copy someone else. Thank you. A maker's mark, you really have to do a lot of internal searching for something like this. I consider it your logo or your brand. Probably your brand is the best way to put it. And your brand encompasses so many things about you, from the types of materials you use to the look and design of your stuff is going to be unique to you. Okay. Some other things that you're going to have to consider is what you're making, who's it for. It's going to have to have a lot of you with it as well. So if you look at the Big Stacks logo, it is and you can probably see it up in the corner. Where is it? Up here, up by the drill press. So up there, way up in the corner. No, that's me. Down here under the live Q&A, right there. Down there under the live Q&A, you can see it. You see the Big Stacks Small Workshop logo. That is a little tiny building. It's this little tiny building that looks kind of like a steel mill with these huge stacks. So I'm originally from Pittsburgh, and that's what Pittsburgh is. What Pittsburgh was at one time was a big steel producing town. So I basically put like a tiny little steel mill with huge stacks, because I feel that my job is to help people who want to have a small shop, or talk to people who have a small shop now, or give people ideas for their small shop, maybe, and I really hope to inspire them. So it's kind of like a small mill that's big stacks. So where does the big stacks come from? Well, I worked for a motorcycle dealership, and a long time ago, not long after I first started working there, I was counting deposit in the morning. It was before we opened up, and our general sales manager was going around. He's introducing the new salesman, a guy that actually became a good friend of mine, and let's call the guy Q. And the guy, he came in, he said, "Q, this is," and he said my name, and then he's like, but we all call him Big Stacks, because he's always counting big stacks worth of money. And it was just a joke, just something that popped off on the top of his head. And then later on in the day, I saw Q, and he was like, "Hey, Big Stacks." He started calling me Big Stacks, and it was just a joke. So we all thought it was kind of funny, and I really liked it. Everyone else really liked it. So that became, your nicknames are kind of chosen for you sometimes, and that's how it was chosen for me. So Big Stacks. Big Stacks, Small Workshop. It has the appeal of having Big Stacks, Small Workshop, because I do work with small workshops. And then you've got the yellow and black on my logo as well. Yellow and black. Everyone's going to say, well, that's Steelers colors. Well, not. Before it was Steelers colors, it was the city colors. So it is the colors of Pittsburgh. But yes, I am a Steelers fan, and make no doubt about it. Really thought they had a good draft this year. So we'll see what happens. But you just have to do like a lot of searching with this to come up with a brand that's going to work for you. Really, a good idea is, if you are a graphic design, if you know a graphic designer, talk to a graphic designer, hire a graphic designer if you want to. They do exceptional work. There is a steep learning curve when it comes to a lot of that stuff, just like there is to anything you do. Find someone that really knows what they're doing, that can put a good logo together, because you could think, I'm going to draw something that's going to work, and you would be very, very, very surprised that there is so many little nuances you need to know about design work and printing and getting clean images that you probably aren't going to figure out. And you also need to know about intellectual property, because if there is a picture out there online, you just can't take it and use that as your logo and claim it as your own. That's still someone else's artwork. They could come back later on, and after you've made millions and millions of dollars, because you grew your business from a tool shed all the way up to a skyscraper, and they can come in later on and say, "You owe me money. That is my logo. I designed that, and I can prove it." Well, then you really, really need to be careful. So I really suggest, if you have a friend that does graphic design, talk with them first. If you know someone else that does graphic design that you can hire, you can talk to them as well. Maybe they'd help you out. But I really suggest, for your maker's mark, your brand, that you need to do a lot of soul searching. B, it has to be a part of you and a part of what your customer as well. And then the big thing is get a professional to help you with it. That is definitely something that you should do. All right, let's see what we got. My wife wants, okay. I made a few items so far. Awesome, thanks. Still giving the woohoo, but I often watch your videos while paper pushing at work. Stitch Dog, I really appreciate that, my friend. Thank you very much. I promise I'm going to get some more videos out there. I've had a busy past month. I've purchased, we upgraded to a new camper. My wife and I are camping, so we got a new camper. So we had to sell the old camper. And then we had to look around for a new truck that would pull the heavier camper that we have now. So we had to get a new truck. Then I had to sell my truck. All that's been done. We're good to go now. I'm going to have more time to get in the shop. The other big thing that I'm having issues with right now is my shop's getting cluttered as we're moving stuff out of the camper and into the new camper and out of the truck. And my shop's becoming more cluttered, and it's because I just don't have the space. So we're looking around for a shed that would be a storage shed. My wife says, here you go, this is the stuff you need to put in your shop. And I say, no, here's the stuff that you need to put in your plant room in the house. And she's like, no, this needs to go in the shop. And I'm like, no, this needs to go into the camper because this is a camping thing. And she's like, well, then we can't really do anything in the camper. She makes a good point. So we're going to get a storage solution. If you guys want to see me build a shed, it's probably just going to be a metal shed or a resin shed, because I need a quick solution like that. Just like the Stitch and Pony, I don't want to have to sit there and design something big. I want to be able to put something together, fairly inexpensive. Its only purpose is just going to be hold stuff. So that's the big thing right there. All right, so let's see what we got. Stitch Dog, I appreciate the woohoo. Rhymes with Orange, you've seen some of my videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Jay, I know you've watched a few, and yes, go Steelers. Very awesome. Stitch Dog, you want to see the shed build? Even if it's like a metal shed, do you guys, or a resin shed, do you guys would still want to see the shed build? I really, I have one resin shed and I love it. And I would probably do that again if I can find this cost prohibitive. But I definitely, they cost twice as much as a metal shed, and they're probably cost the same. The resin shed probably costs about the same as a wood shed, maybe 3 times as much as a metal shed. We just need it for storage, so we're really considering a metal shed. But again, I'm 6'4" and I don't fit in those short little sheds, so it has to be a taller one. Okay, so yep. Mind, what does that say? Mind if. So you do want to see it, Ann? Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, Rhymes with Orange says, I'd watch you build your shed video. Okay. Oh, and Jay, what kind of camper did I get? It's not, we're not the ones to go on the lot and buy a brand new one. So we got something that has some age on it, but it is a Nash. It is an all-season camper. So it has great insulation on it. And we actually, the old camper was a lot longer, and this one's like a few feet, well, I say a lot, it's a few feet longer. This one's a few feet shorter. But we did gain 2 things. We gained a couch, and we lost bunks. We had bunks in there, but we just used them for storage. But the big thing that Stax loves, when I went to go to the bathroom, I could take care of my business in this one while shutting the door, and all business. I couldn't shut the door in the other one. I'm just going to leave it at that. Had to use the bathroom with the bathroom door open, and no matter what I was doing, it was a small bathroom, lots more room in this one. So that's exciting. And this one has a couch with a little thing that plops down where I can edit my videos when I'm out camping, which is really good too. That's a cool thing. And 5th wheel, 35 foot. Love it. Yeah, I don't have a 5th wheel, but I will tell you this. So guys, you gotta check this out. I met this guy this past weekend. We had a pinstriper come by the dealership, and he has a fifth wheel that he pulls with a big rig, and then he pulls a VW bus behind it, and he has his VW bus painted up because he's a pinstriper, and he's very interesting. But he did pull a fifth wheel with a camper, with a big rig, tractor trailer, something that I've never seen. Love the idea. He's like, and he loves it. It's great. He has it painted up with his logo on it. It was really cool guy. Actually, I told him that I'm debating on making somewhat of a regular podcast. I'm working on the logistics of it, and I asked him if he would have any interest in being a guest, and he said he absolutely would. So the gentleman's name is Letterfly, and he's a very interesting person, very nice and very humble person as well. I feel he was a pleasure to hang out with this past week, and Letterfly. Looking forward. I hope you guys would like to hear about someone like that, someone that does. I mean, they do. He makes stuff too, but all artists do. But the pinstriping he does was top notch. And we talked about like he was in the circus, and after the circus he hand painted signs, and then with the changes in technology, a lot of that was done by graphic designers. So he ended up painting murals on the back of RVs. Like the back of an RV would be a plain white thing, and he would paint murals of mountains and eagles and all kinds of stuff on the back of the RV. And then they started doing more designs with the RVs, and they didn't have the blank back. So then he started pinstriping motorcycles, which is really, really cool. Does a great job. Actually, you guys know I have my 1940s Craftsman drill press. I was talking with him. It was passed down from my grandfather actually bought it secondhand off of someone else. They had it for a few years, and he bought it from them. It was passed down to my dad. My dad's passed it down to me, and it's from the 1940s. Still runs great. I actually talked to him about pinstriping our names on the drill press. So I thought that was something that's pretty cool. We said we'd talk more about that next time. I'm going to see him again next year. But in the meantime, if you guys do want me to interview him, I would love to talk to him. I would love to introduce it to him. Very unique individual, very nice person. Someone I feel that is even if you think of someone that was in the circus and then did this and did that, or did all these exciting things, I feel he's still very humble, and he's a very, very nice person. So you guys let me know if that's something you would like to hear. Some kind of camper, fifth wheel. Rhymes with orange. Pinstriping is cool. It is very, very cool. He did some cool stuff. He did a good buddy of mine I work with had his name put on his helmet, and then he had some VW hubcaps that he had Letterfly paint. And then he also, on the back of his motorcycle, he got the Wu-Tang Killer Bees logo, which was pretty cool too. And it's just amazing. The guy can sit down and paint it in like, I don't know, 20 minutes and is done. It's just crazy to think about that. Rounds of orange. That'd be great. Thanks, man. Yeah, I definitely want to make this more of a small shop podcast. I would like to talk to people who are artists and creators and makers, because there's so many different things you can make out there. And leatherworking might not be the right thing for someone. Woodworking might not be, but there's so many different things out there. I would like to introduce the people of YouTube and the Big Stacks family to people that make other things. And he's definitely an awesome guy. Okay. Come on with the maker's mark. All right. Two more, guys. I got two more. I've picked my favorite. And it's one of these two people. I'm going to read the first one, and it's not that person, but this one was up there. This one was very, very close. And then the last one is going to be my favorite. And that person is actually going to win. Now, they're going to have to get back to me. I'm going to post it in this video, and I'm going to post it in the original video under their original one. They're going to have to get back to me with their contact information, and it's going to have to be believable. But that person is going to win the Speedy Stitcher. But let's see. Next one is going to be love your videos. Thanks for all you do. Since I have watched almost all of them and have answered all questions related to leather crafting already, my question is, What camera gear do you use to capture those great videos? Well, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I use my old cell phone, a Samsung Galaxy 10. Now, I've taken the settings and I've set the settings up perfectly for how I want the video shot. And I'm considering upgrading to something new. I follow a YouTuber named Roberto Blake who does a great job that talks about how to make YouTube videos and how to gain viewers and how to make good videos. And there's a few cameras that he suggested that I'm looking into that would be content creator video cameras, specifically for content creators. So I'm looking into that. So I am considering upgrading my equipment, but this is only done, and all my videos are only shot with that camera. This is a dedicated cell phone that I use just for that. But I feel it takes a good picture. Once I've tweaked the settings to exactly how I wanted it, it came out nice. I plug in a microphone in there, so I have a higher quality sound coming through. I don't use the onboard microphone on the thing. And then for lighting, I just use clamp lights. I'll let you guys see right here. I try to put a light behind me, and there's the light that's like pointing up that way. I try to put a light behind me, and let's slide this back over, because the light behind you, I've learned this from my filmmaker friend from Jeep Geeks, Matt. The light behind you kind of separates you from the background, and then I also have a light shining down on me, and I try to eliminate most other lights in here. I've done it before. It's gotten so bright, it's bled out all the colors, but I feel that this works out very well. So that's the setup that I use. I put my camera on a tripod, and that's the simple setup I do. If you guys want to make videos, you can do it too. If you do want to make videos, feel free to reach out on me on Instagram or Facebook. I'll tell you the people that I feel were the best ones to watch when learning how to make these videos. So I've followed three specific channels that I think are very, very good for people who want to be content creators. So if you have an interest, just give me a shout out, send me a message on Facebook, send me a message on Instagram, and I'll tell you which ones that I watch that I feel are the best ones out there. All right, guys, moment we've all been waiting for. This is that last one was by Mark Awad 7643. This next one, this one is going to be the one that's getting the stitching pony. I appreciate everyone that did participate in this. We're looking at Crazy. It looks like Crazy for RG 252 stitching pony. Not a tool that I was contemplating yet. See, you're not the only one. Thank you for the vid, and so I can decide what I may need later or if ever. Up to you whether you want to get one. Not a requirement. I have a bunch of questions for you, but since I have to pick one, my question is, what is the one tool you shouldn't skimp on when you buy your tools? Now, I am usually the worst person to ask this question to, and I don't even think I gave him a direct answer online or her a direct answer online. I answer honestly online. There's no question about that. If I don't know at the time, I tell them, look, that's something I probably have to think about, or I say what's a quick answer at the time. But this one definitely, I personally feel, and I'm a cheapskate. I will cheap out as much as I can. I don't buy the biggest, the best, the most expensive, because I feel unless you're using them on a consistent basis, consistent meaning just about every day, and you're making money off of them, you got to pay for themselves. Or you're rich and you just want to buy whatever tools you want to. That's fine too. Or if you have money that you set this is my hobby money, I'm going to buy the best of the best. I have no problem with that either. I tend to go as cheap as I can, especially while you're learning. As you mature in your craft, you can upgrade to newer tools, which is definitely a bonus. But when you're starting out, you don't. But I think, and I've mentioned what it is today. I think that the stitching, the pricking irons and the stitching punches and the stitching chisels, man. Yeah, I'm not really. Most of the ones that I found out there, I'm not really keen on. I use them because, again, I've been kind of apprehensive to spend that money. but I would buy the best ones you can buy of these. You can always cut leather with an X-Acto knife, with a box cutter, um, and it would still look nice. You can always use when you're doing your hand tooling. You don't have to buy the best of the best. Um, when you are There's so many different things that you do. You don't need to buy the absolute best needles that are out there. Um, when you're stitching. There's just so many different things. But I do, and I've showed you that all the things that you could buy from Harbor Freight for under 40 bucks and get you started in leathercraft. But if when you were stitching, and I've avoided stitching videos, partially because of this, partially because it's kind of the second level of leather crafting. I've tried to cover all the basics that I can. A good stitching chisel is going to be far and above better than what's mostly out there. So I have to say that would be the one tool, and that is the one tool that I'm going to spend my money on here pretty soon. I'm either going to do what Leathercraft Nation suggested, get the Cinnabrooks, or I forgot who was here. Was it Stitch Dog? Stitch Dog, were you the one that said pick up the quarter ones? CORTER, quarter leather on Buckle Guy. I might take a look at those as well. I might get both. I might get one or the other, but I do feel that that's the one thing that you should spend your money on. So let's see. Anything else you guys want to say before I drop off? Agree on the pricking irons. Awesome. Thank you very much, Ann J. All right. So I hope I answered all your questions. If you guys have any other questions for me, anytime I go live, feel free to ask. But I really appreciate you guys coming out, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Expect some more videos to come, especially once I get that shed done and get some crap out of here. I feel kind of restricted, and then I'll have more room to move and less stuff clutter sitting around. And I'll actually do a workshop tour if I do get the shed built and get everything put in there. So I look forward to seeing you guys again. Casey Roberts, thank you. You have a great night as well. And once again, Crazy for RG 252, CRZ for RG 252. You have won the stitching pony. So do me a favor and reach out to me, social media, on Facebook or Instagram at bigstackshop.com. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.